Hey everybody, I'm Artosis, and sorry, Doa can't make it this week. He's actually sick as Dr. told not to cast for a little bit. This happens sometimes when you're a professional caster. Oh well, it'll be me solo casting, so sorry about that ahead of time. But this King of the Hill is kind of special, especially since it has come to our attention that something apparently went wrong in our counting system. Apparently Savages, who we've been calling him the four-time champion for a really long time, but from what I can find, basically Alchemixt brought this up, that Savages actually won 3 times, but he played 4 times. So I think somewhere in there we got confused and no one bothered to go back and count, so we thought he was a 4-time champion, but it looks like, unless we mislabeled everything, that he's actually a 3-time champion tied with Reels, which means Alchemixt is now tied with them as well, and has a chance to become the actual first 4-time champion, because he's already won 3 other matches. So that's pretty sick. Sorry about that. I don't even know how that happens. It's actually crazy that something like that can get by everyone in the whole world. But anyways, here we are. This is King of the Hill number 17. It just keeps on going, and this one is going to be pretty great. Alchemixt going for the ultimate crown of all time from Don't Kill My Robot, going up against Sinex. And for those of you who don't know Sinex, he did end up getting 3rd place in the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice Hearthstone tournament, and he won the European qualifier to get there. So, even though he only got 3rd place in the 4-man tournament, to win the European qualifier is pretty legit considering everyone tried to play in that. So, a very good player indeed. I've met him. He's very smart. A good player. I've seen his play before, and he's solid. So, let's go ahead, take a look at these decks, and try to figure out who's going to do what. Okay, so first off, from Alchemixt, he's done it before with this deck. It is a Priest deck. And to take a look, what has changed in this Priest deck? Well, it looks like Sylvanas is in here nowadays, and that's a good card for Priest. That's something that is getting more and more popular in Priest decks from Priest players. Other than that, looks like he's added a Defender Vargas. I'm not sure if he had that before, actually. But that's about it. Otherwise, it's pretty standard as far as current Priest decks. Now, from Sinex, we see his deck called Not Even Fair. It is, in fact, a Warlock Zoo deck. And there's a little bit of interesting stuff in here. For instance, we do have the 2 Scarlet Crusaders. And generally speaking, the Scarlet Crusaders are good in this deck when you're just kind of using it for ladder. Because of the amount of mirror matches you hit and whatnot. But generally speaking, people take them out for best of 5s or best of 7s in Hearthstone Constructed, and replace them with something else. A lot of times you'll see maybe some Mortal Coils in here or some sort of techie card. But he's decided to keep it, which isn't bad or anything, just a little bit different from what you'll see in some Zoo decks. Also, we have both the duo of, it's in German right now, but Doomguard and Argent Commander. So he has 2 of each of those. So that means that this deck possibly could get kind of screwed on the draw. Because we've seen before in the past, sometimes you get 2 Doomguards early on in your hand, and it kind of destroys your game. Now, imagine adding in Argent Commander to that. You could get a very heavy, mana-intensive hand that isn't really looking all that good. But if he doesn't overdraw those, they're going to be super powerful in the late game. So, overall, a very solid deck, very strong deck going up against this Priest deck. Hard to say who's going to win, but I got to tell you, if Alchemixt wins, new record, pretty awesome. Let's go ahead, jump into game number 1, and see how this is going to go. Alright, here we are, and it looks like at the bottom we're going to have our Priest player, and at the top we're going to have Sinex the Challenger. And looking at these 2 hands, not a terrible hand for Alchemixt overall, but a very aggressive hand here from Sinex. And no real removal yet from Alchemixt, so that could end up being a problem. Now, I really like the fact that he has 2 young priestess here. I think he's going to go ahead and play both those, start really buffing things up right away. But if we see a Circle of Healing drawn from Alchemixt, on turn 3 he's going to gain insane advantages. So we'll see what he ends up drawing here. Shadow or Death, not really going to be all that helpful. Probably just going to heal himself. He could go for coining out the Blade Master, but I don't think that that's necessarily the greatest play ever. Okay, there we go. He is going to go ahead and heal himself. Sinex, on the other hand, only at 3 mana. Probably, yeah, definitely going to go for a life tap plus Argent this turn. There is a possibility he skips the Argent as well. Give less buff targets to try to maybe get out of Auchenai range. Doesn't decide to, which is fine as well. It's kind of a random thing to play around. And let's see from Alchemixt what he's going to get. Powered Shield, not going to be that useful. Maybe coin out Ascension Shield Master here. Not a terrible play. That can at least slow his opponent down a little bit. Thing is, with that 4 health on the Imp, it can still easily get through here, only losing 1 minion total. But it does go way down in health, so that's nice at least. Now let's see here. Could go for an Argus on the 2 minions there on the left, and then throw away the 2/1 and let the 3/4 get damaged.
My shield for Argus.
It's actually, yeah, in fact, that's exactly what he wants to do. A very good move indeed. Oh, I'm actually surprised you used Divine Shield. Well, no, I guess, you know, keeping a Young Priestess alive is quite nice because you get to buff so much. But looking at Alchemixt here, down to 17 life, not really drawing what he needs. The thing is, this happens a lot when you play against Warlock aggro, like a Zoo deck. As Priest, if you don't get your Auchenai Circle combo, you don't really have enough early game removal to deal with everything. It's really not all that efficient. There aren't normally a lot of small minions to trade with. And then you just find yourself kind of healing and throwing out anything you can just to, you know, stem the tide. And as we can see, just gaining 2 life and killing 1 minion, that's not really all that much. Again, he is going to need to get his circle of healing. That's going to be really his only out here. Oh god. Do you go for the Doomguard? You know, I think I would. Bring him down to 5 health is ridiculous here. Oh, he actually decides not to. And this is actually fine as well because he has that turn 6 drop of his Argent Commander. And of course... Wait, he didn't life tap? Well, that's really weird. That's just straight up a misplay from Sinex to not life tap when you're at 2 life. Definitely a pretty big mistake right there. So, we'll have to see what he... I mean, that's... I don't think it matters anyways, but that is like a pretty sizable mistake. And looking at the life total and the 5 mana, it looks like there's absolutely 0 way for Alchemixt to win this one. So kind of not the best game ever, but this sometimes occurs, and it looks like he was just searching for that Circle of Healing, didn't get it, and at 9 health there's literally no way. He probably will just GG here. And yeah, there you have it. Well played. Sinex out to an early and quick lead with that first game. Alright, so, I mean, sometimes you get a really one-sided game like that, and Priest, you know, this is a part of the reason why Priest is generally not considered a top-tier class as well. You know, with Priest, sometimes you get the right draw with all the right answers, and you crush your opponent, and you make them look bad, and you make it look like it's the most powerful deck ever. And then other games, you don't draw, like, your Circle of Healing or whatever other card is that you absolutely had to have at that time. So kind of rough, but Sinex out to a strong and early lead with a deck that we all know and love or hate. Now, the next deck that we all hate is going to be a Hunter deck. Now, this is kind of an interesting choice here from Alchemixt because, you know, I've heard people say both ways whether or not Hunter is good against Zoo decks, but I would say this is going to be a matchup favoring Sinex a bit. Now, hold on. If Alchemixt gets the right draw, like, let's say he gets his Explosive Traps at the right time, and he gets his Unleash the Hounds and Starving Buzzard combos at the right times, then of course the Hunter deck can win. The Hunter deck with the right draws can beat absolutely anything. But if you look overall at what this Zoo deck looks like, with 2 Voidwalkers, 2 Shield Bearers, and 2 Defender of Argus, that's a lot of taunt to get through. And on top of that, it's a very aggressive deck that can deal a lot of damage pretty darn quickly. So, you know, overall I would say that it is Zoo favored against Hunter, maybe just slightly, but absolutely a Hunter can beat Zoo. So I'm gonna lean with Sinex just a little bit on this one. we'll see if Alchemixt can maybe win this and start to take it back. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 2. So once again at the bottom and on the left here is Alchemixt, and up on the top that's going to be Sinex. And going to open up with that Flare, of course. You're going to want to just cycle that through, as there are no stealth or secret cards for Sinex. And, well, did I say that if you get the right explosive trap at the right time, and you get stuff, the Buzzard as well as the Unleash the Hounds at the same time, you can absolutely destroy a zoo deck? Pretty sure I said that. Well, let's still take a look at it for Sinex. How is this going to look for him? I would say... does he play Flame Tongue turn 1? Is the question, I guess. I mean, not Flame Tongue, but Flame Imp. Because Flame Imp is like the one drop you don't want to draw against Hunter, because it does as much damage to you as it's likely to do to them. You know, of course, Shield Bearer are going to be very nice, especially when he buffs it up a little bit with those Shattered Sun Clerics. And it looks like he does decide to play it. And in fact, will throw down his taunt as well. That's going to lead him into a turn 2 Knife Juggler. But that's going to give 3 possible tokens for his opponent. So, gotta be careful about things like that. Ooh, and a Hunter's Mark. That's a really fantastic draw right now. You know, especially considering that this Shield Bearer's out. Reducing that health to 1 lets 1 dog kill it. So, that means that, let's see, he's going to play another minion this turn, then another minion the turn after that, which means 4 cards drawn, 4 dogs for Alchemixt, which is pretty crazy. No question about that. Alright, so Alchemixt here. I mean, he might want to play Animal Companion. It's a possibility. I mean, he could go for Explosive Shot, but does he want that? He might want to draw the cards off of it. Let's see. It's kind of almost a preference thing. What does he think's in his opponent's hand? How much damage does he feel like he can take? So right now he's got at least 7 damage coming at him next turn, it looks like, because of the Knife Juggle plus the 2/3 attack guys. And as we can know from looking at his hand, probably 8 damage really coming at him. Quite a bit. Really considering this Explosive Trap at the moment. And I think Explosive Trap is fine here, but Animal Companion I believe is fine as well. And a Huffer. Rolling a Huffer is about as good as you can really hope for. Taking down that wall is going to make you know, his Hounds more powerful in some ways, because they don't have to go through that. He can use the Hunter's Mark on something else that he needs to kill off with this 2 health. Now let's see with Sinex. Good play. Buffing up with this Shattered Sun Cleric. And quite a bit of damage still dealt. Now, do you use the combo yet? Kind of a tough one here. Don't know if I would use it yet, because you would draw 2 cards, and I guess you could kill off the Knife Juggler because of Hunter's Mark. But what else does it do for you? You have a 2/1 out and a 1/1 out against a 3/2. Doesn't really seem all that great. I could see like Wolf Ridering into the Knife Juggler possibly. I don't really like Explosive Trap here. Explosive Trap's okay because it sets up a dog killing off the Knife Juggler. No real fantastic plays for Alchemixt. Nothing super mana efficient that looks really nice. Alright, so he's going to go ahead and use that Wolf Rider. And at least he's keeping the board kind of clear, but then again, that's making it so that Unleash the Hounds combos are going to be a little bit harder to pull off.
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
And another nice little buff with that Shattered Sun Cleric. So, as of next turn, we're definitely going to... Well, not necessarily next turn, because remember what I was talking about before. Because he's playing Argent Commander and Doomguard, his hand can get a little bit clogged with that. And if you look at that, those are 3 cards that are like kind of endgame cards in his hand. So Sinex's hand not really looking all that great right now. Next turn might just be a life tap, in fact, because he might not want to lose those other cards. Now, yeah, I think playing like a Hunter's Mark plus Elven Archer is always pretty fun. It's a cool build of Hunter that DKMR uses. But I guess he does want to do the combo. Of course, he could kill off both guys because of Hunter's Mark and Elven Archer. So that might be something he decides to go for. And he would draw 2 cards off of that. And he would still have a couple minions on the board as well. So that is a pretty solid play overall. Let's go ahead and see what he draws. Alright, pretty quality hand he still has. So will he Hunter's Mark here? I think so. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't Hunter's Mark. Hunter's Mark plus Elven Archer is just good play here. I don't know why you wouldn't take out both. It looks like he does want to. Wonder what he's thinking about now. I guess it's just like go to face or kill this 3-2. And realistically, killing the 3-2 is probably right. This opponent at 25 health, he's going to have to gain more advantages than what we just saw there. Oh man, and look at that hand for Sinex. It's about as bad as you could ever get. Nothing here he wants to play. It's just like kind of a gross hand that he has. Ew. Do you life tap here? Funny thing is, for Alchemixt, like if Sinex doesn't get something going right away, Alchemixt is going to roll him over. With an Explosive Trap, a Leroy, an Eaglehorn, and a Leper Gnome in hand up at 6 mana right now, he can deal a lot of damage very quickly. So Sinex has some hard decisions here.
So many possibilities.
God, yeah, I do not like that hand. Thing is, you could go for Soulfire, but if it discards your Doomguard, I guess it's kind of painful. Looks like he does want to actually just draw. What do you get? Okay, a Voidwalker. Not the worst draw in the whole world, I guess. But still, a very weak turn from Sinex. And of course with that Eaglehorn, going to be a strong play here. And just kind of maximizing his mana and damage potential in the future. The Leper Gnome plus Hero Power. And the damage does really begin. Look at that, already catching up. So we'll probably see the Argent here, but running an Argent into like a Leper Gnome or a Starving Buzzard, not always the way you want it done. Kind of rough. He may want to go for face here, to be honest, yeah. Bring him down to 13, and then in hand he's got so much damage. If he can get it out of there. Like when he draws his card, he can life tap, play his Power Overwhelming, play the Doomguard, and then hopefully still have Soulfire left over. And that's like 9, 13. Oh wait, no, that's already 13 play. So unless he kills that off, he's going to lose. But hold on, is this actually enough damage? It's 5? Plus 3. Oh yeah, no, I guess it is. Okay, haha. Hunter is a funny deck. Alright, it looks like Alchemixt gonna go ahead and take game number 2. Alright, so, you know, that's what can happen when you're running, you know, all those endgame cards. It takes away some of the consistency of the Zoo deck when you're playing both Argents as well as Doomguards. And of course, you're always going to have like 1 Power Overwhelming and also 2 Soulfires in there. So he kind of got a clogged hand. It slowed him down just momentarily, and that's all it took. Because if he had, you know, like 1 other reasonable minion in hand, maybe he wins that game. Very close one there at the end, but turns out Hunter can do a lot of damage very quickly. So, in our next game, looks like we're going to see a Druid coming out of Sinex. And it looks like it is a token Druid here. Of course, it's got the Violet Teacher. All the pumping, all the... Looks pretty normal, actually, overall. Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary here, really. Playing Cenarius in this deck. Oh, okay, he actually has a Blood Knight in here. So that's slightly different. But in the current metagame, there's a lot of Divine Shield floating around, so it's kind of okay to have something like that. Now, of course, no Divine Shield in this Hunter deck, but that's okay. Now, Hunter, unless he gets, like, the Explosive Trap when he needs it, this could be gross, because you can go off very quickly with the Druid token deck. Like, a perfect draw, you'll kill your opponent on turn 4. And, of course, with Hunter, you don't quite kill that quickly. But if your opponent's trying to build up and he's a little bit slower, you can get off a massive Unleash the Hound. So that could happen as well. Anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into game number 3. Alright, down at the bottom, Alchemixt. Up at the top, Sinex. Let's see if he has what it takes. Looking at the hand of Alchemixt. Oh, that's definitely a very nice hand. He's got the Hunter's Mark, Arcane Shot, take anything out. He's got some pretty good drops with the Leper Gnome turn 1. Possible coined out Wolf Rider on turn 2. Or, of course, he can use his Deadly Shot. Let's see, for Sinex. I believe that's a Wrath that he has, that he's about to use. Okay, it is indeed. And does choose to Wrath for Cycle as opposed to Hero Power. And that will prevent 1 additional damage, but it will draw a card. And also use a removal spell that's in his hand. So, kind of just a preference thing a lot of the time. You look at your hand, you decide which one you feel like is going to be a better situation for you. But he's going to go ahead and coin out this Wolf Rider instead of using Hero Power. So it does use up the coin, it's 1 more damage than Hero Power, and it makes your opponent really consider throwing out his Hero Power into it, which is going to end up being 5 damage total if he does do that. And it could be that, but it looks like it's going to be Claw instead. But at least that does use up another card, even though it makes him take only 1 additional damage. Still, that was 4 damage total from him, so pretty efficient still. Does start that Thalnos. It's something you're going to do a lot as Druid against a Hunter deck, just because almost every minion they have, or at least everyone they want to play early, is going to have 1 health. So you're just going to use your Thalnos as a kind of a trade. Now looking at Alchemist's hand, it's obvious that he's going either Flare or Tracking here. Let's see. Flared. And just going to Hero Power, of course. Doesn't have any good plays for now. Wants to save every single thing in his hand at the moment. Now, for Sinex's hand, looking at it right now, right? The Blood Knight, not very good. Unless he gets, well, that guy right there.
The light protects.
We'll see if that shield is taken off. Well, it will be, because he gets to play this that turn on turn 4. So now there's a 6/6 in the board, and that's pretty scary, I have to say. We don't have the combo yet from Alchemixt, so he can't draw a ton of cards, but he does have Hunter's Mark, so wouldn't it be surprised if he goes like Hunter's Mark, Explosive Shot? Oh, he's actually going to go ahead and use a Tracking right now. Interesting. And what do you actually take from here? I think a Misdirection is kind of okay, because this is a Druid deck, and Misdirection can be helpful against that. But none of these are really looking that fancy. There's a possibility he's going to take the Tracking. There's actually even a possibility to take Arcane Golem, although that's kind of a weak card to take early on. Does take this Tracking. Going to track again. Kind of rough going through a lot of cards he doesn't necessarily want as much. But yeah, this should be Explosive Trap. So he's going to clear the board. What he was really looking for here was, you know, Unleash the Hounds, so that he can actually start drawing a bunch of cards. But unfortunately, not able to get it even through 2 trackings. But that means it's closer in his deck now, because he did dig through so many cards. Now, for Sinex, sorry buddy, there's not a whole lot here for you to do. You attack with a 1/1 and let all your stuff die, draw your card, and then see what you want to do. That's about it. I mean, this is what can happen against a Hunter. Everyone's playing a couple Hunter's Marks nowadays. It's just too efficient. And of course, when they do that, plus hit down a secret, generally speaking, that's going to be a Explosive Trap. But, you know, there's a couple of 1/1s on the board. It could be a Misdirection, possibly, I guess. Whoa. Whoa, that was weird. Just Hero Power Pass. I really wasn't expecting that. I guess he wants to trade into some other minions. Very interesting. But here's part of why I think that was bad. First off, it's going to let the next doggy be bigger. And second off, all day long Alchemixt can sit here and hit that Hero Power button. Also, he got to play a weapon, which means when an attack finally does come, because it will, you can't kill him without attacking with this deck, he's going to get another charge on this weapon. So this is really rough at the moment. Oh, is he going to silence?
I must safeguard.
I see. Okay. That's kind of an interesting play. And of course it is going to live through this. I really wasn't expecting that. But just for the record, he should have attacked with a 1/1 just in case it's a Misdirection. You don't want any chance of that 3/3 coming back and hitting you. Or even possibly your 2/4. Would have been a much worse scenario. So a little bit of a misplay, I would say, there by Sinex, but not a big deal. Because it didn't actually do anything. Alright, so for Alchemixt here, he actually has a lot of damage available to him. So he does have these animal companions. Imagine rolling double Huffer here. How sick would that be? I think I would actually consider 2 animal companions. But animal companion, hero power, and an arcane shot is really quite nice as well. Yeah, do this. You do the arcane shot on the 3-1 now that you have Misha out so that he can't easily kill it off. I mean, he could animal companion, but I don't see a big reason at the moment. And of course, utilizing that hero power as well as the weapon. Lots of damage incoming for Sinex here. But Sinex now going to go up to 7 mana, so he can actually start gaining some life off of these gigantic Ancient of Lores. Oh, and 2 swipes. There's actually a possibility that he can end up winning this game. Like, at 12 health, as long as he doesn't die this next turn, which it really doesn't look like he's going to, he has a lot of damage that's going to be able to come out pretty quickly here. I think if he gains 5 life, and maybe then Cenarius if they haven't been dealt with, or possibly Force of Nature, I mean, that's a lot of incoming damage for someone only at 21 health. Looks like it's time for Alchemixt to start drawing some additional cards. Of course, Swipe going to be able to wipe that board really grossly clean. And gets to draw a decent amount of cards, but overall this didn't really do that much for him. Now he has to decide, does he use the hero, or the weapon rather, on this 2-2 to make sure it can't kill any of his stuff? I don't think so. Do you save it? Yeah, probably. I don't see a reason to really attack and bring your opponent down anymore anyways. But now we have this swipe that's, and this is what is called a value swipe. Because, you know what, he spent 3 cards in hand, and he drew 3 cards. So for you to just get rid of this, yeah, he gains slight card advantage from it, but the longer you stay alive, the more mana you get here, the better shape you're going to be in. As Sinex. Alchemist deck kind of falling flat at the moment. Ah. Unleash the Hounds. Not that there was enough minions out there for him to really take advantage. And in fact, his hand's still kind of lackluster. I would actually consider it right here. Going for like Unleash the Hounds kill command. Maybe Knife Juggler Unleash the Hounds kill command. No, wait, that's 7 mana. No, I would use hero power for sure every turn right now. But the kill command, definitely something you have to consider getting out there pretty quickly. 5, 6, 7 damage right now would bring him down to 7, which would give you possible kills next turn, like a lot of possible kills. And of course, as we can see, that would probably force him to do a Force of Nature because he doesn't have the combo yet. But in fact, if he draws Savage Roar, you can just kill him. Alchemixt really putting a lot of thought into this one. Of course, Hunter's Mark is not a card you're going to want to use on a 2-2. That'd be pretty silly. I guess he's looking at it and saying, well, next turn is turn 9. That's when the Savage Roar, Force of Nature combo can and oftentimes does come out.
Put this apple on your head.
Oh, wow. You know what he's doing? This is why he's doing this. He's actually played 2 swipes. So he's saying, alright, you played 2 swipes and a Wrath and a Claw. There's probably 1 more removal spell in your deck, and you've already played a Keeper of the Grove, which means you literally have 2 spells in your entire deck that can immediately remove a minion.
I hunt alone.
And I mean, that kind of makes sense. The reason why he's doing this. And this keeps him 1 health out of death range if he does draw Savage Roar. Alright, so a Druid of the Claw. Not a terrible draw here. Can go ahead and gain some life. Can go ahead and possibly charge in a Knife Juggler. Possibly make a Giant Taunt. Thing is, at 9 mana, Cenarius is not the worst play either. Cenarius gives you 9 on board, and then you'd have 6 the next turn possibly from your Force of Nature. Well, actually 7. So unless your opponent kills some stuff, you can definitely kill him the next turn, and it gives you 2/2/2 taunts. A lot of different choices right now for Sinex. definitely going over all of these things in his head. I would say the Azure Drake is pretty unplayable right now. At 12 health with a Night Juggler on board, doesn't seem right. I would say Force of Nature is a pretty big waste as well. I think... In fact, I think the... you don't even want the 4-6 taunt. I think Cenarius is a pretty fantastic play here.
What?
And the life gain one is okay. The thing is, Cenarius gives you more damage on board to possibly be able to kill him next turn. Okay, so it looks like he does want to play the 4-6, or maybe even charge it. Let's see what he actually does with it. Oh wait, no. It looks like he was really considering it and didn't do it. That happens sometimes. You start to play and you're like, no,
I wonder.
I don't really want to do that.
Where shall I strike?
Alright, so actually does make it the charge. And that's actually fine as well, because you don't really care all that much how much life your opponent has. Or rather, I'm sorry, how much life your minions have. Because they're going to have to use basically the same thing for it anyways. The only way this is you don't have to Hunter's Mark it. Alright, so we see 3... I mean, I think here 100% you have to Unleash. You can't let this guy sit out there. Druid decks can deal way too much damage way too quickly. An Eagle Horn.
I hunt alone.
I actually kind of like Unleash, run into him, and Kill Command. Get that, because you have to have a Beast out for Kill Command to do 5. But I guess you could always just use Hero Power. It's actually fine as well. I would be quite surprised though if he doesn't Unleash. Just leaving 4 damage out looks so scary at the moment. 14 health. Thing is, he's at 14, so really, with 2 swipes gone, I guess he's not going to die next turn unless he would have died last turn. With that whole combo. Oh wait, no, actually he was at 15 last turn, so yeah, I mean this is, the combo still could be there. As we can see, of course, 1 card in the combo there still. Alright, so he does still have that Owl for the Kill Command. That means that next turn he definitely can win. Like, he has 7 damage that can't be stopped for next turn. Kinda crazy. I think probably you just Cenarius here. It's that or gain life. And the thing is, if they have like a Leroy, if they have even, let's see, would Arcane Golem do it? 3... No. I mean, there's a lot of different combos of cards that Hunter could have to really mess with you. But I think if you put out the couple of taunts with the big-ass Cenarius, especially when he has a weapon out and he might use it on a taunt,
I wonder.
you can absolutely get a kill next turn. But it looks like he just wants to gain the life. See if that turns out to be enough. Alright, so he gains a total of 6 life this turn because of that 1 armor as well. It's 14 life to 13. And of course that is lethal for him next turn, if he can do it. And that Elven Archer is a pretty darn good draw, thanks to the Hunter's Mark in hand. Has the mana for Iron Beak Kill Command. Definitely wants to save that, though. He might have to silence a taunt, he knows. Thing is, does Sinex now, after that turn, where it was a little bit scarier than it is now, does he actually go Ancient of Lore again? I don't think it'd be the worst play. Because again, if he goes like Ancient of Lore, and it lives 1 turn, he wins. And as we can see, he could kill it off with a Kill Command, but force in Alchemixt to use that Kill Command at this point? That would be like, he's just so out of gas here. And, you know, that's what can happen if you don't get your combo off. That's why Hunter doesn't win every game.
What to do?
Alright, so he does decide to go ahead for that life gain once again. Hunter's Bane. 10 life has been gained so far. How crazy.
The light
Plus a bunch of
protects
armor,
me.
of course. And does decide to take out this little 1/1. Doesn't want, you know, any shenanigans to occur. Best to kill it than deal the extra damage. You don't really need it. Oh god. Is this enough? 6, 11, 12, 13. He can deal 16 damage. Oh, that's rough. That is rough. Probably you're going to Iron Beak the 1/1 and kill command the 5/5. Just because it's pretty obvious that your opponent probably is lethal at this point. Because, let's see. If he had 10, 11... No, I mean, I guess it's possible he doesn't. If he doesn't have Savage Roar and he doesn't have Force of Nature, then I guess that's not lethal.
I wonder.
It's like, you can easily deal something like 10 next turn, 11 next turn. But those extra couple points are pretty hard. Yeah, see, can get him down to 1. Ooh, so rough. So rough. And chooses not to do anything here. Well, that's going to be game then. And that means that Sinex is going to be able to go up 2-1 over Alchemixt. So, well played here by Sinex. Alright, and he does knock off the Evil Hunter deck. So, when the Hunter deck goes down, time to take out the Zoo. This Zoo, a little bit different than what was being played by Sinex earlier. For instance, Sinex had 2 Argent Commander and 2 Doomguard. Here, there's just 1 Doomguard and no Argent Commander. Instead, we have the Black Knight from Alchemixt. Now, the Black Knight is going to be a card that obviously helps out a lot against Druid because they oftentimes will throw out a big taunt to try to get in your way. So, definitely could be a useful card there. Also, King Mukla. Now, King Mukla isn't necessarily going to help against this deck unless his hand is empty. If he has things on board, that's going to make it actually kind of harder because, you know, that spells Self-Violet Teacher and, of course, you know, buffing his own minions. So, overall, definitely could go either way. I would say that Druid versus Zoo overall, pretty even matchup. So let's go ahead and see. Is Alchemix going to be able to tie it up, or is Sinex going to be well on his way to being King of the Hill? Alright, here we go. Let's take a look at these opening hands. Oh, wow, that's a pretty good hand from Alchemixt. Looks like he wants to play Shield Bearer before Flame Imp. Maybe Afraid of Claw. That's the only thing I can really think of here. Yeah, it's really only Claw is that you really... I mean, that's the only thing that would have prevented the Flame Imp play. As far as Sinex goes, obviously he's not going to have a play this turn unless he wants to coin out his... well, he does. He wants to coin out and make a Panther here. And that'll at least give him a 3-2 on the board to help to trade with. Power of the Wild being a useful card in that regard. Alright, so of course Flame Imp going to come out this time. And we might see, yeah, I like this. The Abusive Sergeant going to buff this up. And actually go ahead and kill off this Panther token. So that's actually very, very useful. Because obviously that was going to die next turn if not. But still he's got a little taunt in the way, which is kind of annoying. Which Sinex will take care of. But overall I would say this is a pretty good start for Alchemixt. And when you look at his hand, still pretty quality overall. That Direwolf Alpha can add a lot of damage very quickly. Ooh, and he even draws a Dark Iron Dwarf for a really solid 4-drop. So a lot of damage incoming to Sinex right now. Sinex's turn 3 going to be a lot more lackluster unless he draws Innervate. No, he doesn't, so it's just going to have to be Harvest Golem, and that's like a very slow response to what we see on the board here. Already a ton of damage incoming. Oh my. I think you just go Dark Iron Dwarf here, to be honest. Just Dark Iron something up and go for face. And probably want to throw the Dark Iron on the right, just because that Flame is probably going to go... Oh, he actually skips that. Okay. Kind of interesting. I felt like the mana curve was going to fit together a whole hell of a lot better if we played Dark Iron Dwarf. But you know what? This actually helps against Swipe a little bit. Because if your opponent was going to play Swipe, Amani kind of sits there and makes him rethink it, and he's going to have to target Amani as opposed to another minion that's very valuable. So that's kind of annoying. But As is, we can see there's no sway. I would think that we're going to see a Violet Teacher popping out right now, just because Violet Teacher could get out of control rather quickly, but it looks like he actually wants to play a 3-2 Panther and uses Hero Power instead. Now, while this is a play that may keep him alive slightly longer, I don't feel like this is like playing against a super all-in deck. The Zoo deck isn't really all-in, it's just very aggressive. And I feel like you have to make winning plays against them rather than stay alive plays. And this felt more like a stay alive play, whereas you play the Violet Teacher out and you don't... If you don't die because of that move, you might win because of that move. But as is, he does have a couple minions out against a couple minions, which is pretty nice, I guess. Overall, Alchemixt doesn't have a great mana curve for this turn, or a great way to spend his mana. Like, do you want to Doomguard here? He may. Doomguard isn't a terrible play here. The only one I wouldn't want to do really is Mukla. Well, you know, it uses up 2 of his opponent's mana, which at this point is actually okay as well. But again, if Violet Teacher's out, suddenly King Mukla is even worse, and well, that's not really a reason not to do it, but just saying. Alright, so Alchemixt right now, I think he's just thinking about, does he want a life tap? Because life tap Shuttered Sun Cleric is actually okay. Because then he can at least save that Amani from being traded with next turn. Doomguard is fine as well, just because that's 10 damage, bringing his opponent down to 4, and it's pretty hard to not be able to kill your opponent when they're at 4. You know, of course, Druids can gain a lot of life, but yeah, I like the Doomguard play here. Okay, he does choose the life tap, and we'll get the Black Knight. We'll see if that actually comes in use. We'll definitely could, as he'll be at 6 mana next turn, and we could see Druid of the Claw coming out. And if Druid of the Claw is played next turn, which looks entirely likely, that's basically a game ender with the Black Knight. That's like a situation where you don't normally come back from it. So let's see for Sinex what he wants to do. Loot Hoarder, not the best draw, not going to be too useful right now. If I'm him, I play the 4-6 Taunt and trade out a couple minions. Yeah, I kill both 3/2s and play that, I believe. And then Black Knight comes out, and I'm like, oh, darn. Well, let's see what his choice is. Yeah, really looks like it. You know, this is one reason why it's really cool to put Black Knight in your deck. When you play it, Black Knight's one of those cards that when you play it and it actually hits a reasonable target, you just kind of win the game right there. I guarantee you... Oh, wow! And, oh, you know what? This is actually a completely fine play. I was so caught up in him going for a taunt, but actually that is a completely fine play. Nothing wrong with doing that. To actually remove the 3/4. Which, of course, can always be pinged by things like Elven Archers. Probably not in this deck, but oftentimes Mortal Coils are, so that could have been something that could have pinged it and made it like big enough to kill the 4/6 anyways. But this leaves him with a 4/1, which is completely cool. A really good play by Sinex there, really. I have to... My hat's off to him. Alright, loses a couple guys, and those are... he didn't really want to lose the Dark Iron as much, but losing the Black Knight is completely fine, because you know your opponent probably isn't going to be playing any taunts. He just cast one of the only taunts in a token Druid deck. So at 3 health, Savage Roar has to happen, right? Yeah. Not much choice there, and he has to sacrifice both of his minions in. So rough. And with no minions on board here, and only 4 health, he's dead, man. There's no way. Okay, Soulfire, that's enough. There you have it. Alright, Alchemixt gonna be taking game number 4 and tying up the series 2-2. So it looks like we have what is basically a best of 3 on our hands at this point. Both players with only a couple decks left. We'll see who can come through. Now, the Zoo deck will continue to be played by Alchemixt, but Sinex is switching over to a Priest deck now. It's really interesting how much we're seeing Priest pop up nowadays. People are really trying to get back into it. Now, this Priest deck is kind of odd. It's not what you would expect. Instead of playing Wild Pyros, which generally people like to combo with Priest just because of the utility in drawing cards with Northshire and the amount of priest spells that you have. Instead of that, we actually have a Watcher version. So, a couple Ancient Watchers. He has 4 Enablers in the deck, it looks like. Only 1 Auchenai, but that's normal if you're going to play like a Watchers thing. Well, it's not normal, but it's like Auchenai is not going to be as powerful because you're not playing Circle of Healings and whatnot. We see a lot of 1-ofs in this deck. Like, the 1 Auchenai, he has 1 of each Shadow Word, he has 1 Smite, he has 1 Yeti, 1 Argus, 1 Spellbreaker, but he has 2 Faceless Manipulators. Really kind of weird, but I guess we'll just see how it goes. I have to give the edge to Zoo. You know, Priest is considered bottom 3 class for a reason, but if it hits the right cards, again, it looks so powerful, and I tell you, it's one of my favorite to play, so we'll see how this goes. Let's go into game number 5. Okay, here we go. Looking at these hands, I don't like Sinex's hand. That is a slow hand. As far as Alchemixt goes, it's okay. It's fine. I guess it matters what his opponent ends up drawing as to how good it will be. Young Priestess coining out with a Voidwalker, always one of my favorite first turn plays. The only thing I like more is the first turn 2 Young Priestesses. Pretty sick. For Sinex, he's got to be a little bit nervous right now. Doesn't really have a whole lot going on for him. Amani going to be a great play here. High health right there. It's going to be harder to get rid of. And even gets that buff. So let's see. Of course, that Injured Blade Master going to come out. Now he just has to decide, does he actually want to kill this? Because he absolutely can. He has that Abusive Sergeant, definitely doable. I feel like, yeah, I'd life tap here for sure. Like an okay draw, not the best. Does he kill it though? We'll see. And if he does kill it, what does he want to kill it with? Let's see, he's on turn 3, so turn 4 he could be fearing Auchenai Circle, which we know that doesn't exist in this deck. He could be fearing... Well, Holy Nova is still a couple turns off. Looks like he does want to kill it. If he gives it to this, that is to kill. And, you know, that's fine. Because, obviously, this 4-3, it gets a lot of value. Because you heal it up, it's just going to kill a minion every single turn. So he decides to just deal with it now, and that's fine. I wish Alchemixt would take his hand off that. His mouse off that. That's really annoying. Okay, so... Sinex, wait, what did he have there for 3 mana that he's going to play? Let's see, Thought Steal. Okay, you know, I mean, I guess he gets some minions off of this. Not the most useful stuff in the whole world. Looks like he's going to play, I think that was a Young Priestess. Okay, yeah. I mean, I guess he's afraid of playing Young Priestess just because of Amani. Because Amani could just run into it. Of course, he could heal it, but, like, is that how you want to play this game? Now, on Alchemix's side, of course, yeah, this is a fantastic move. Being able to just buff the board a bit more. He has so many options coming up. It's hard to imagine Alchemixt somehow Sinex somehow winning this game. In fact, especially if he kills with that, I bet you he's going to Faceless the 3/5 Taunt. I don't know that there's like a much better move right now for him. Oh yeah, okay, no, he could silence now that he's drawn this Spellbreaker. Still though, is this the type of play that you want to be making right now? That's going to be easy to trade with as well. I think, in fact, I would go Defender of Argus here. Defender and attack. Probably trade this 3/1 just because a Holy Nova definitely could be sitting around. Like, if he silences that, I would actually think to myself, oh, he probably has a Holy Nova in hand, but he doesn't want to do it because my Amani would get too big. Because otherwise the Holy Nova would be quite a nice play. This is a good one, though, because you don't care about 2 health versus 1 health on Young Priestess. And he's looking for that 1 extra point of damage, otherwise he'd be putting that on his Argent, because obviously Argent Squire plus Defender of Argus is a pretty sick combo. And yeah, I mean this is the desperation of a priest player, fully firing his opponent's minions on the board when there's so many of them beating him down. And the thing is, we see 5, 6, 7, 8 points on the board, plus we have 5 in hand, so that's like 13 points of damage. I think King Mukla here is absolutely fantastic. In fact, I would play King Mukla and maybe even a Flame Imp, because he's just so far ahead at this point. It's like, if I was him, I would want him to Holy Nova next turn, because who cares? You just kill him if he does.
I fight.
More training?
So he wants to put that damage on and then decide. And he does go ahead and play it. Sinex with... what's he going to draw? Rag, yeah, that's not going to help. Looks like there's just nothing here for him. He doesn't have a very strong board, as nothing is on it. Just have a very strong life total, as it's at 7. And his hand, you know, if he was playing against like a more controlling deck, it would be fantastic, but as is, looks like he's dead, and Alchemix's going to take the lead of this series now, 3-2. Alright, so it is match point for Alchemixt for the rest of this match, and then he'll have a new record here in King of the Hill. Looking at the deck that Sinex was trying to not use against the Zoo deck, it makes a lot of sense, because Zoo kills Warrior. This Warrior deck, probably going to have a pretty hard time. You just kind of run out of answers against their threats. You have a hard time dealing with a wide range of minions, whereas if it's like single minions, you do very well with the Warrior control, but... to be fair, there's Senjin Shield Masses in here. There's a lot of armor gain possibilities, and he does have a Brawl, so all those things could be helpful. Also, if you can keep your life total high enough, a Baron Geddon can be pretty clutch. We'll see if he can do it, but I have to give a big edge to this Zoo deck. It's like a deck that generally deals with Warrior better than pretty much anything, I think. Like, maybe a good Shaman deck can do better against Warrior, but... I mean, even that's a little bit debatable. We'll have to see. Alchemixt very close now to getting a new record. Let's go into game number 6 and see if he can do it. Alright, here we go. Looking at this hand, a pretty good one for Sinex. The hand for Alchemixt, not terribly bad, but not terribly good either. Now... what does Sinex want to do here? I think he might just pass. Yeah, looks like he does, and I think that's probably the right choice. Now, this Shield Bearer going to be a pain in the butt, seriously, because we do have that Fiery War Axe out. And look, it even gets the buff. That's going to be pretty annoying overall for him. I think here Sinex probably just coins out the Frothing Berserker. And then he can start going to town with all of his spells. But, you know what? If there was ever a hand to try to beat this deck, I think that's probably it. So, see if he can do it. I would just continue to play minions here, most likely. Amani plus Voidwalker going to be pretty good for Alchemixt. Of course, he could draw cards if he wants. That's definitely something you can do, because eventually you just want to run the Warrior out of gas. But with a couple of slams, a Whirlwind and Execute, a Fire War Axe, and this big, or soon-to-be big, Frothing Berserker, I think everything's looking pretty good for him. Oh man, that Amani sets up the most insane turn ever. If he plays Amani here, slam Amani, Whirlwind, everything goes to hell. Oh wow, this should be a really nice turn here for Sinex. This is like a super, super obvious play, I would say. Because then, like, all he's left with is Voidwalker, or I guess, if you want, he can be left with just the Shield Bearer at 5 health. Actually, yeah, I'd probably leave the Shield Bearer, screw it. Now, Sinex is thinking right now, just kind of going over what the possibilities are. Well, no, I guess that does leave the Argent as well, but whatever. That's fine. Still too much health on your guy to die to anything out on the board. Alright, so there's the slam, so for sure we'll be seeing this whirlwind coming up next. And another nice draw for him, actually, with that Senjin. Very well done. Now, this guy gonna become pretty darn big. I might kill that shield bearer just to make sure that my fiery war axe got a lot of usage out of itself. You don't want to have to use 2 charges on that wall, then he does nothing. Alright, so will he use the owl? The owl is not a terrible play here, because if he doesn't kill it, like, we could see the war axe actually kill this Voidwalker, and then him go for face for 10 damage, which is, like, pretty crazy. It would make it so that Alchemixt might lose a race, but probably not. Now, the Sinex does come out. Good choice. If he hadn't done that owl, he may have used Direwolf Alpha to actually kill it. It was just so big. Now, let's see here. He has that Whirlwind, which is pretty good. I think Senjin is a good play here as well. He can actually go armor up plus the axe as well. So he decides to armor up. But if you're going to armor up, I mean, yeah, is he going to... Okay, he is just going to Whirlwind here, as opposed to the axe. And that'll save him some health, but I think the axe was actually the right play, especially as this game looks like it's going to go pretty long, so you might want to use up this Fire War Axe early on so that you can get your Gorhal out later without, you know, wasting. Oh my god, what's the Knife Juggler going to hit? Oh, very lucky there for Sinex. Now, this seems pretty obvious to me. You've got to slam this. You probably got to trade your 2-1 as well. Might want to go for the Fiery War Axe to kill off the Knife Juggler, though. But slam execute the other one for sure. And this is the time to use execute. You don't want to do anything else that's fancy. Like, execute is actually a card that can be hard to use against a deck like this. Alright, so he does decide to go ahead and use this so he can trade later on with this Frothing. Good choice. And I gotta tell you, Sinex is just, he's gotten the right draw, he's made the right moves, and even though this this match will generally favor, you know, Alchemixt and his deck, it's looking pretty impossible for Sinex to lose from here, especially since he's gonna be at a high enough life total when that Geddon comes out. There shouldn't really be any issue. Will he Soulfire? This is actually a good play. I really, really like that. That makes it really hard for Sinex to actually attack this Knife Juggler. It's pretty much got to, though. Yeah, I mean, Knife Juggler is just so scary. It's probably worth the extra couple damage that you're going to get over knifing that, or hitting that wolf. Ooh, and he even uses a banana. Or 2. Well, this is, I mean, from here, what do? You better draw a Doomguard. Oh, or you draw the Black Knight. LOL. Oh my god, that is a top deck right there. Really, really perfect. The best draw ever for Alchemixt. One of the only 2 taunts in Sinex's deck, and he has to lose it like that. And now with this 5/5 out, suddenly everything looks so much worse. He was at 17 life with a 4/7 taunt against no cards in hand, 1/2/2 on board. And now look at this situation. Baron Geddon is no longer a good play. Gorhal is the only thing that can deal with the board, but then he takes 5 and goes down to 10. And, God, if you draw the right cards, you just win next turn as Alchemixt. So he's going to go ahead and Gorhal. I mean, this was a pretty obvious play. There wasn't a lot else available to him, but still, this is a low life total. It's kind of out of his hands. It's in the hands of a little bit of luck going on. Alright, so I'm sure both these will get played out. A lot of damage going down. Oh my god. Is this actually happening? It was looking so good for Sinex, but, you know, this is a terrible matchup for the Warrior deck, so that makes it a bit rough. Is there no way out of this? There is no way out of this. There is lethal on the board no matter what he does. Because, wait, no. If he goes... Okay, wait. Baron get an armor up? No, he can't. He has just barely not enough mana. He actually can't Baron get an armor up, and that was the only thing that could have saved him, because then he could have gone down to just 2. But as is, I'm sure he's just counting and recounting and saying, oh my god, I can't believe I lost after the perfect opener. Oh, that is rough. But as is, it is looking like Alchemixt is going to be able to take it. Not just going to be able to take it. Yeah, no, I keep re-looking it over. There's literally 0 left for him. Wow, that was one really, really clutch Black Knight. If that had come even 1 turn later, everything could have been different. But, you know, it just kind of snowballed from there. And this means that Alchemixt is going to be the 4th-time actual King of the Hill. Madness. Absolute madness. Alright, so there you have it. Once again, sorry for the confusion that everyone in the world had together. I guess when we were like Savage's 4-time King of the Hill, he did play in 4, so that's how I guess, you know, we were thinking about it, but he won 3, Reels won 3, and now Alchemixt has won 4. Craziness. So Alchemixt is the ultimate King of the Hill now. Will he be able to win again next week is the question. Everyone's got to be looking at him and saying, this guy is good. Gets the cards he needs. He brings the decks he needs. He's a force to be reckoned with. Sad to see Sinex go. He's a strong player. I'm sure we'll see him back in the future at some point. But much thanks to him for playing. And thank you for watching. Make sure you check out iHearthU.com for more great Hearthstone content. And till then, we'll see you later.